Okay, thank you for bearing with us. So it sounds like I'm going to restart at the beginning. So again, it's such a pleasure to be here in Brazil for the first time, to be a part of this TDI tradition, really, now that this has been going on for 4 years. So thank you for welcoming us. Thank you for allowing us to speak in English. And again, I hope that the Portuguese subtitles, if you will be helpful as we go along. Again, I wanted to pass on a greeting from the staff of Discovery Institute. They are so proud of what's going on down here in Brazil, and I know that they would love to witness this as well if they have the opportunity. I was saying earlier, Emily and I actually live just across the water from Seattle, and we take this ferry boat into Seattle every day, and it's just a beautiful part of the country. If you're ever in the United States, please come visit us, and we'll show you around, take you on a ferry ride, if you will. So at Discovery Institute, our mission is to advance the idea that humans and nature are the result of intelligent design as opposed to evolution or some other unguided blind process. And the way that we do our work is by a combination of research and scholarship, education and training of young leaders, communication to the general public, and then advocacy for free speech for students and scientists and teachers alike. So what I'm going to do today is just give kind of an overview of the state of the movement, some of the recent research, scholarship, outreach, and activities happening all around the world as a way of encouraging you of kind of what's going on in the intelligent design movement. And then I'll close with a brief word about Brazil and the work that's being done here as well. So since about 2015, Discovery Institute has prioritized a number of research projects that have helped to propel the intelligent design movement forward and kind of open up the mainstream conversation about intelligent design. So far, there have been about 75 peer-reviewed papers published by our network of scientists in fields like systems biology, epigenetics, phylogenetics, ontogenetics, paleontology, quantum cosmology, and many other fields as well. So what I'm going to do is just highlight a few of those projects to give you a little bit of a taste for the research that's going on. The first one is about overlapping genes, which some of you will be familiar with. This is one of the most incredible developments in recent discoveries in biology. And basically, the idea is that there are multiple proteins which are encoded in different reading frames of the same stretch of DNA. So you can see an example here from the human genome of ATP8 and ATP6, where they're both encoded, or they're overlapping in a sequence of DNA characters or nucleotides. And if you shift the reading frame, you go from translating or encoding one protein to encoding another. And there are other cases where one protein is encoded reading forward, 5' to 3', and another protein is encoded reading backwards, 3' to 5'. It's just an incredible discovery, and it's surprising, to say the least, from a Darwinian standpoint. To get this kind of complex code, compression of code, is very surprising. But in light of intelligent design, or as Marco says, ingenious design, this is really should not even be that surprising, right? It should almost be expected. So we have supported multiple researchers who are investigating some of these really incredible genetic sequences, and they're actually developing tools for predicting unidentified overlapping genes in the genome as well. So this is just a very exciting research project. Another project that that our scientists are working on has to do with investigating whether the genetic diversity of the human population worldwide could have originated with a single pair of two unique human beings, which really is contrary to the conventional assumptions in human evolution. And these two scientists in our network have developed a really rigorous population genetics model and applied it to thousands of genomes of humans living today. And their research was published in a series of 3 peer-reviewed articles recently, which confirmed that an initially designed pair of two human beings could account for all of the genetic diversity that we observe today. And so again, this is just really exciting research that is coming out of the intelligent design movement. Another project it's called the Waiting Times Project. And in this project, 3 scientists in our network recently published an extensive study of these waiting times required for a number of coordinated mutations to appear and change the expression of genes within a population. And their findings suggest that basically there's nowhere near enough time for these supposed transitions in the fossil record to take place through a process of random mutation and natural selection. And their current focus, the focus of their research right now is on the waiting times in the purported evolution of whales from land animals. And of course, they're finding there as well that there's just not enough time in the supposed evolution of whales to get those kinds of coordinated mutations. Their future studies will probably focus on the origin of feathers, photosynthesis, eyes, human cognition, other things that supposedly evolved through a process of random mutations. So this has been a really important focus of research. Another project has to do with the bacterial flagellum, and many of you all will know that the bacterial flagellum very early on in the movement was an example that was used of irreducible complexity. Dr. Michael Behe, which many of you are familiar with, argued that this complex molecular machine could not have evolved through a stepwise process, and that it had to be all there at the same time, all the parts working together in conjunction. And more recently, there have been a number of skeptics that have tried to argue that the different molecular components or protein components of this assembly could have possibly been co-opted from homologs or similar proteins elsewhere in the bacterial genome. So there are a number of scientists in our network that are evaluating this claim. And what they're finding is the proteins in this complex are actually unique from any of the other homologs that are found throughout the bacterial kingdom, which again confirms that this molecular machine, just like many others, is extremely unique and is designed with a specific purpose from its de novo origin. Another project that our scientists are working on are studying the phenomenon of taxonomically restricted genes, or orphan genes. Now, the term orphan is actually kind of a play on words. The letters ORF stand for open reading frames in the DNA. And these are sequences that are often found only in one specific species or one specific genus. So it's not a gene that you find homologs of elsewhere in the animal kingdom, for example. And these sequences are very surprising from a Darwinian standpoint because they are often essential genes. You cannot live without these genes, and yet they're not found anywhere else outside of that species or genus. From an intelligent design perspective, it makes sense that a unique taxa that has unique needs would need to have unique genes, right? This makes a lot of sense. So the researchers in our network have developed an online tool called OrphanBase. And OrphanBase provides a comprehensive database of these exceptional coding sequences so that investigators can kind of explore the properties of specific orphan genes in comparison to other genes as well. So that's another really exciting project that we're working on. Another recent research project brought together findings from engineering and biology to describe the genius design of animal joints and the way that there are all sorts of potential applications from studying animal joints to human innovation. So there's a mechanical engineer in our network. He's in the UK, our friend Stuart Burgess, who recently published an extensive analysis of these different animal joints and their optimal designs. And here are some of the joints that he studied. So this one is the human knee joint, and it uses a inverted 4-bar mechanism, and this has been used to inspire the engineering of prosthetics, robotics, and a number of other things. Another example is the 4-bar pantograph mechanism in the avian or the bird wing joint, which again, going back to Daniel's talk, is another aspect of optimal design for flight. And then on the right side there, you see the wing joint of a common fly, which both of these have been used to inspire the design of micro air vehicles, or very, very small flying robots. Another example that was studied in the paper are the linkage mechanism in wrasse jaws or other fishes shown here, which have inspired the development of robotic claws and striking mechanisms and other robotic movements. Or this 4-bar mechanism and latch in the mantis shrimp, which allows for the storage and release of elastic energy to allow for this kind of striking mechanism. So this project is just one of many where engineers and biologists are coming together to have a better understanding of the design of life, and then to be able to have applications for human engineering as well. In fact, there have been so many engineers and biologists interested in working together to understand the design of life that we've now hosted a couple of conferences where we bring together biologists and engineers and other scientists. In fact, you might even see Marcos hiding in the crowd there, since he was at this conference as well. And these scientists are coming together to try to build out a more robust theory of biological design. And this theory will include things like intentional actions, mind, agency, foresight, as well as talking about the adaptive capabilities of living organisms, control systems, sensors, logics, effectors, things like that, as well as all sorts of different design properties, systems for preventing the organism or the systems from decaying or degrading. So this is really an exciting time in intelligent design research because there's a lot of great collaborations and projects coming out of this network. And what I've shown you here is just a very small taste of the kinds of projects that are going on. For those of you that are familiar with Marcos's work, you know that he's working on all sorts of things, projects related to amino acid optimality, polymerization of amino acids in supposed origin of life scenarios, a human-chimp proteome comparison. So there's really just a lot of research that's going on right now, and it's a very exciting time in the ID movement for that reason. Now, like I said, scientific research has been maybe the top priority at Discovery Institute recently, but we also have a lot of focus on scholarship, producing books and scholarly articles. And our staff and fellows have written many books recently on science, faith, intelligent design, and related topics. So what I'd like to do next is just show you a few of the recent publications as well as some that are coming later this year. You'll get a little bit of a sneak peek of some things that we haven't even announced before this conference. So earlier this year, our senior fellow and biologist Ann Gager, whom some of you may have heard of, helped to edit an anthology on the Catholic case for intelligent design. It's called God's Grandeur. It was published by Sophia Institute Press, and it contains numerous chapters from various Catholic proponents of intelligent design, including historical arguments regarding the Catholic Church's long-standing support of the theory of intelligent design, even before the modern movement. Also related to the intersection of science and faith, our staff scientists just published 2 scholarly articles in the peer-reviewed journal called Religions, one written by geologist Casey Luskin, comparing various models of human origins and how they kind of stack up to the consensus views of science and Christianity, and then another written by 4 of our staff scientists responding to a book that's attempting to reconcile design and evolution. And so our staff scientists wrote this scholarly article critiquing that perspective. And both of these papers are freely available online if you all are interested in reading them. Another exciting update in the world of scholarship is this kind of 25th anniversary edition of The Design Inference, written by William Dembski. The original book, The Design Inference, was one of the founding seminal books of the modern ID movement, and it laid out a scenario for design detection, a model of design detection. And so this new edition will be released later in the year with several new chapters and kind of a refined model of design detection. And we're really excited for this new version of the book. Also coming out later this year is a book called Minding the Brain. I'm afraid this title doesn't translate into Portuguese very well. It's kind of a play on words. But as you can presume, this book is about the intersection of the physical brain and the immaterial mind. And I'm just a humble biologist. I haven't studied neuroscience or anything like that, but I'm really excited about this book. It brings together a lot of work that's been done over the last few years by the scientists in our network. And then finally, also coming later this year, I'm so excited to announce that Discovery Institute Press will be releasing the first ever graphic novel from the press, and it's written by a mathematician and attorney in our network by the name of Douglas L., and it's illustrated by Evan Diaz, another friend of ours in the network. There are 2 characters in the novel. There's one called Doubt and one called Reason, and they're having this friendly banter back and forth about the evidence for God, and it's just a wonderful story, very accessible for teens and young adults, and so I'm excited for that to come out later this year as well. In addition to research and scholarship, we also have a number of initiatives to reach students and church members and the general public about the case for intelligent design and the impact that it has on things like faith and culture. And so some of the key education outreach initiatives that we have been focused on recently include our Intelligent Design Education Day, which is offered to middle school and high school students. And the event this year featured myself and my wife Emily, and actually a Brazilian science educator who has moved to Seattle recently. His name is Pedro Moura. All of us presenting on the case for intelligent design, and this year the focus was on tiny tech or nanotechnology in nature. We had hundreds of students come out, and they were just very excited and interested in this topic, so that was a really fun event. And then we also hold an annual conference on the intersection of science and faith in Dallas, Texas. And this year we had more than 1,500 people come out between the in-person and online event. And we had speakers like Stephen Meyer, James Tour, Nancy Piercy, Frank Turek, and a number of other just really high-profile speakers. So that was another exciting event this year. And of course, one of our most impactful educational programs is the annual summer seminar on intelligent design, which is offered to a select number of about 50 college students and other professionals who really want to dive deep into the evidence for intelligent design in the cosmos, in chemistry, in life. We just wrapped up our program last week in the state of Colorado, and then this week and the next 2 weeks, we'll be hosting an online program for all the international participants. And altogether, there's about 120 participants this year. In fact, I think I've bumped into about 5 different alumni from this program that are attending the conference here. So we really have been having a far reach across the world through this program. If you're a college student or another professional that would really like to dive deeper into the evidence for intelligent design, come talk to me afterwards and I'll tell you where you can apply for next summer's program. In addition to the conferences and seminars that we host, we also have a number of YouTube playlists that are very popular, including the Long Story Short playlist there on the left, which is a very fun animated series critiquing Darwinian and materialist explanations of life and the origin of life. And then in the middle, we have the Secrets of the Cell series, which features Dr. Michael Behe talking about the complexity of the biological cell. And then finally on the right there, our popular series called Science Uprising, which deals with this materialist philosophy and critiques that through just a really fun, interactive video series. And then in addition, we have a number of online classes on evolution, intelligent design, science and faith, and they're taught by scientists like Michael Behe, Stephen Meyer, Casey Luskin, Melissa Cain-Travis, Douglas Axe, lots of names that you may be familiar with. So we've had thousands of people join these online classes, and it's a great way to learn at your own pace as you have the time. So if you're interested, you can look that up at discoveryu.org. And then we also have a number of websites where we reach a really broad audience. Some of the most popular websites are intelligentdesign.org, which offers easy access to a lot of videos and articles and books on intelligent design. There's also evolutionnews.org, which is one of our most prolific news and blog sites. All things related to evolution, intelligent design, science news. And finally, our podcast platform, idthefuture.com, where you can listen to countless interviews with intelligent design scholars and scientists from around the world. So those are just a few highlights of some of the things that we've been doing, mostly based in the United States. But really, I'd like to turn your attention to the rest of the world to see some of the exciting things that are going on around the world. Intelligent design has really become a global movement. I mean, it really always has been, but in terms of the modern movement, it's clear that it's expanding throughout the world. And it seems like every day I learn about something new happening in a new country. So I don't have time to cover all of the different things that are going on that I'm aware of, but I'll just highlight a few things so that you can be encouraged by these efforts. So we're going to look at some updates from ID groups in the United Kingdom, in Nicaragua, Italy, South Korea, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania, and in South Africa as well. And then again, I'll kind of end with a brief comment about Brazil. Now, these postcards that I'm going to show you are obviously pretend, but the updates on these postcards are very real. So here in South Korea, ID supporters have translated a number of key intelligent design books into Korean, including most recently The Return of the God Hypothesis. And in the Mediterranean region, the new Intelligent Design Center of Italy recently held their first conference with special guest speakers John West, who's the Discovery Institute Vice President, and Gunter Beckley, who is a paleontologist and a senior fellow of the Center for Science and Culture. And they're excited to host a number of events in the coming year as well. In South Africa, we have several supporters that have collaborated on a peer-reviewed academic volume from a South African publisher, and it's entitled Science and Faith in Dialogue. And they'll be hosting a whole speaking tour later this year with Casey Luskin and other scientists in the movement to talk about this book and the topics that are covered in it. In Western Europe, the United Kingdom Center for Intelligent Design hosts a series of regular webinars featuring scientists and scholars in the movement and from around the world. And these are freely available online as well. You can go to c4id.org if you want to look at their past webinars. And then in Africa, in kind of the English-speaking region of Africa, Biocosmos Africa has begun to organize a really rigorous university program or university courses on intelligent design that they're offering at private universities in Kenya, Uganda, Rwanda, and Tanzania. So it's very exciting to see that effort taking place. And finally, in Latin America, we have an ID supporter based out of Nicaragua who is helping to translate many of the articles on Evolution News for the Spanish language sister site diseñointeligente.org. And so that's really been a great expansion of our reach through those articles. And again, this is just a short list that highlights some of the things that are going on around the world. There are also groups that I'm aware of in Norway, Poland, Austria, Germany, Spain, Bolivia, I just learned today, and you probably know of others as well. So it's really exciting to see the way that the movement has really taken off all over the world. But really, of all the intelligent design groups worldwide, I must say that few are as impressive as TDI Brazil. With the research that's going on here, the outreach, the frequent appearances on the media, the 10-hour-long podcast breaking world records. I mean, it's just amazing what's going on. And then to top all of that, it's so exciting to learn about the efforts to reach young people through TDI Kids and the partnerships that we've learned about this weekend. So I really think out of all the groups around the world, TDI Brazil is just a role model for how to take intelligent design and communicate it to the public in a way that's understandable, accessible. I mean, it's really impressive. Can I ask for a round of applause for you guys? It has been encouraging for me because, I'm working hard with the staff of Discovery Institute in Seattle to get the word out in the United States and elsewhere, and it's really encouraging to come here and see the exact same thing taking place in Brazil. And so I really commend you guys. I encourage you and hope that you'll continue the work, and I look forward to going back to Seattle and giving them a report about some of the new things that are taking place here as well. Before I close, I wanted to tell you about a program that we recently launched at the Discovery Institute called Roots, and it's short for grassroots, the idea of a movement that is not led by leaders around the world, but it's really a grassroots movement. There are individual people like you that support intelligent design, that you see the truth and the evidence of intelligent design, and you want to be able to spread that news to people around you in your own circles, whether you're a teacher or a parent or a professional, whatever your role may be. We're really encouraging individual people to be their own intelligent design activists. And so we started this program, Roots, and you can sign up at roots.discovery.org, and you'll get updates, on kind of the movement going around the world. We're encouraging people to form local groups around the world to try to encourage one another in the work that they're doing. And so you can see a map of those groups and where they're forming. Right now, most of them are in the United States, but we're encouraging people all over the world, here in Brazil as well, to say, I'm going to start a local group on my campus, or I'm going to start a local group at my church, and I'm going to use that as an opportunity to talk about intelligent design, to bring in local speakers to address your local audience. So I really encourage you guys to look at this website, consider signing up, consider being a part of this grassroots movement. And that's all I have for you. I just wanted to say a huge thank you to all of you for inviting us to come out to give this update on the intelligent design movement. And I just appreciate the opportunity to meet all of you. So thank you very much.